Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today what I wanted to do is I want to talk about the Clan Boss Clover draft we just had on Sunday. It was such an awesome time. There were so many of you that came out. I was shocked, very happy. It was great to see everybody, and I'm really excited for the final coming on Friday. We're also going to have that live on YouTube. We're going to stream that at 4 p.m. UTC. That's going to be 9 a.m. for Pacific time, noon for Eastern time if you're in America. Or North America, the Americas, I guess in general, same time zones, right? So hopefully you guys will come by. It was a lot of fun. I was shocked how many people we had. We had a lot of interaction with the chat, and we're going to be giving out a lot of gems, guys, like thousands of gems. I just need to hear back exactly what we're giving out, what the rewards are going to be based off of where everybody finishes. But I'm really excited to be able to give that to you guys out here in the community for just coming by the stream and watching. And so this should be a lot of fun. It's been fun every time we've done these big CC events. And this is the latest one, and I had even more fun than the last time we did one of these drafts. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one that comes out. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that link down below in the pinned comment and description of this video, and you can use code DeadwoodJedi, save yourself 15%. And of course, if you want some account work, you don't like doing the work yourself, I'm more than happy to do it for you. My team is at the beck and call. Just visit my website, DeadwoodJedi.com. So what I thought I should do is go ahead and kind of do a review of the draft itself. I mean, on my website, I've been putting up articles. I had an article up yesterday talking about just the draft as a whole, kind of a recap of it. So that could be a nice fun read, just kind of remember what it was. And of course, if you guys haven't seen the draft, I have the playlist of all the drafts linked at the end of this video. So make sure to click on that. You'll find that it is should be on the website as well. So if you just want to see the draft itself, you can find that. But one of the things is if you want to see these articles, because I got draft grades coming out, and I think that's going to be fun. Hopefully I don't offend anybody. And we also I'm going to have team grades coming out in a day or two as well. I'm just trying to write a couple little articles because I love this kind of stuff. I love sports. I love drafts. And I think this is a lot of fun. And I feel like these are some fun ways to kind of engage with the content a little bit more. So hopefully you guys will be interested in that and stop by the website and check that out. Obviously at the end of all this, I'll have, linked on the event page, which we created for this. We're going to have a whole bunch of stuff as far as what these teams are, how they run, all that kind of fun stuff. So definitely a lot of resources I'm trying to put out there for you, but I wanted to kind of cover the draft itself. I'm not going to go, I don't think crazy in depth on it, but I want to kind of cover, my thinking, thought process of how it went overall, and the kind of results and where I'm thinking this is going to go. So obviously, the first round went pretty much to scratch. Like I wasn't expecting much different, right? A lot of the champions that were taken, I was expecting them to get taken because they were the most likely champions to get banned. And it made sense to take those early, right? Because here's the thing. If somebody was able to get 2 of those champions, all of a sudden they have a huge advantage. And that's actually, I think, one of the biggest benefits that I'm going to be enjoying. Because while Demitha was an obvious pick, Seeker, Deacon, Maneater as well, White Dryad Nia from Clover was a big surprise overall. And what that enabled was me to not only take Maneater, but take Skull Crusher too. And I'm hoping, I don't know, but I'm hoping that's going to provide a really big advantage for me. Obviously, I did some things to mitigate that later in the draft. I definitely had some mistakes in my drafting itself that I would definitely do over again. But, it gave me a really good head start. And I felt like after the second round, I was easily in the lead of this draft. YST was able to do something similar, grabbing a Geomancer. Hades got Taragi, Cold Brew got Farrakin, Nub got Dark Kale. All those champions are super good. And because we were pretty confident in who was going to get banned in that first round, it enabled us to have that key champion in the second round, which is something that, we all got a huge advantage out of, right? That was something that we kind of needed in order to make things really shine as much as possible. So, knowing that my Maneater was going to get banned, I could go confidently forward with Skull Crusher. Knowing that Demitha was going to get banned, Nub could confidently go forward with Dark Kale. But then, things kind of got a little bit different after that, right? Like Ruella was a pick by Nub, which I thought was a really interesting pick in the third round. I'm very curious to see how he makes that work for his team and whether it's worth it or not. Right now, he has 2 damage dealers in his comp, which I don't think hardly anybody else really has. And so maybe a little bit less survivability, but a little bit more damage could result in a really nice, end result for him. We'll have to see. I thought Cold Brew made a really strong pick with Venomage. Farok and the Fat ended up getting banned for him, but having White Dread Nia provides some unique speed tuning opportunities. I'm not even begrudging that pick. I wouldn't have made it there, but I feel like there's some possibilities that he could have come up with some really fun teams with this. And Venomage provides a lot of utility on that squad. And, in the end, he also picked a Light Burger, who might be the steal of this draft. And combining those two could be really productive for him. So I'm very interested to see what kind of team he comes up with. Hades took Fane, I took Anax, and I think both of us kind of regret those choices, honestly, because what we were trying to do is come with 2-1 ratio teams. And when you're doing that, the biggest thing that you can do is actually get the champions for the speed tune. And I feel like, I don't know about Hades, I don't want to speak for him, but I know for myself, I think I would have preferred to actually lock down my speed tune earlier rather than go for that damage dealer early, because there's honestly a lot of damage dealers in this game and there's a lot of flexibility in who you get. And so I feel like I could have probably gotten even an axe or somebody equivalent in value later on in the draft. I was a little worried about green champions, and I think that was something that was a nice little twist, but ultimately not as impactful as we thought. There's enough green champions to make that selection process not as difficult as we were thinking it might be. But as we kind of went through after that ban phase, everything started going off because we all realized we had 3 champions to actually make a tune. And most of the time, if you're trying to go fast, you need 2 champions, right? So that got really, really tricky. I started off with Archmage. While a few people like, YC was kind of fairly set, but everybody kind of jumped in on this bandwagon, right? YST took Godseeker immediately after my Archmage. El Hades took Claude. Cold Brew took Runekeeper. And Nubs, even though his next pick was Sepulchre Sentinel, the pick right after that was Sandlash Survivor. So you're talking about either speed champions, turn meter boost champions, or buff extending champions. And it got pretty dicey at that point, right? I mean, Hades had to opt for Anchorite as a buff extender, which is kind of like, that's an interesting pick. He's not easy to play with, right? That Anchorite isn't. So that was definitely, he's not a great champion, but he's solid. He does buff extension and definitely the best option left on the board. YST took Haikatune, another champion who was kind of like, all he really brings is speed buff and that speed aura. That's significant, but it's not like a game-changing ability. I was completely flustered. I didn't know who to pick. All the buff extenders that were epics were off the table, and I was not going to pick Valerie. I was not going to do that. So what did I have options left? I didn't know. I also needed healing. I needed increased defense. I needed decreased attack. I had a lot of things that I needed still to draft. I ended up opting for Grizzled Jarl and Trumbor in a hilarious moment, I'm sure for all of you, very painful for me, where I opted for Trumbor instead of Taguar, who I meant to take. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm probably going to drop whoever that champion is and pick somebody else off, especially because Trumbor not actually on my account. Didn't realize that till afterwards, but that's the truth. So, we kind of all started to panic as we try to fill in our teams. In the last round, Hades took Marked as the champion. There are still better options on the table, but you get a little frizzled and frazzled and you're trying to put all these things together. It becomes real tough. I think the more interesting picks were Cold Brew, because he opted for that turn meter booster in Runekeeper, which I think is going to provide him some interesting possibilities as far as speed tuning his team that we might not expect. Runekeeper's great, and turn meter boost is great, but you need that every single turn to go on a 2-1 ratio, but you don't need it every single turn to go on, say, a 3-2 ratio, right? There are some other options, or even a 4-3 ratio. There are other options of speed tunes that can be just as effective as these 2-1 ratio teams. They're just generally harder to get those high damage numbers because you're not taking as many turns, so you need to kind of last longer in order to make that really work for you. I'm very interested to see what he puts together here. He took Jareg, which is incredible protection, and Liburga, who I didn't even realize is so good, but she brings increased defense. She brings increased attack, which is super valuable, and I'm missing on my team. She also has a ton of poisons and extends them, which when paired with Venomage, it makes for an unbelievable combo, in my opinion. I actually think that Liburga Venomage combination is going severely under the radar and might be, I mean, I'm a little bit nervous about it, to be honest. I'm a little bit nervous about that. I mean, YST, of course, crushed the draft. He finished it off with Rearguard Sergeant, who's just an amazing ally protector, and I cannot believe she actually lasted that long. She provides healing for your allies. She provides decreased defense on an A1, decreased attack as well. Makes for a perfect pairing with Hitatsu because all of their skills are on 3-turn cooldowns. They provide a ton of healing, and between the two of them, you're pretty much gonna have decreased attack up for the full fight. So really nice job, I think, on YST's part. Every debuff you want, every buff you want, he's got it. So I'm very, very nervous about what that team's gonna look like. Then, you know, of course, Nub, I feel like, you know, he was the rookie of the group, I'd say, right? He doesn't do most of his content, doesn't focus on Clan Boss. He came a little bit later to the game than a lot of us. So he's got some ground to make up here. He finished off his draft with Grush, which I think is an interesting choice. Maybe not the one I would go with. He does provide a lot of healing, including a leech debuff, but obviously there's some protection going on that's going to be an issue. There's some speed going on that's going to be an issue. He doesn't have a speed booster or a speed champion, so he's kind of limited in the tunes that he can do right now. But if he drops one of them and picks somebody else up, it could be pretty interesting. Also, Ruella has a turn meter boost on his account, which I think could be pretty interesting. And I have to give him a lot of credit. He went for a gutsy move by taking Ruella. Not only because it's probably an outside the box pick, but because he didn't have Ruella on his account. So he's had to pull shard after shard after shard to try to get Ruella. I'm actually really interested to see if he can get Ruella before the draft happens. I mean, I still don't have Ferric and the Fat on my account, period. So there's no guarantee he's going to pull her. Could be really, really interesting. But I think Nub is definitely going to be the underdog in this, right? No ally protection, no speed champion. It's going to be tough for him to, you know, catch up to the rest of us. But like I said earlier, he's the only one with 2 damage dealers, 2 legitimate damage dealers in both Dark Kale and Ruella. So there's a strong possibility that he might not last as long as the rest of us, but do more damage in that short amount of time. That's definitely keeping me a little bit nervous about the whole affair. Everybody's got something going on here. I mean, myself, I feel like I'll be honest, I put in the work. I have a tune that's going to work with this team. I had to make a change. It's a pretty good result. Is it going to be tops? Not that confident about that, honestly. I'm a little bit nervous. I feel like this is going to be extremely close at the end of this. But one thing I am really impressed with, we had a nice conversation. You can watch it in that video if you want. But we all had a nice conversation about like what we thought, you know, before the draft happened, what we thought was going to happen in the draft. And we're really wondering, you know, what kind of a damage would we get? And I thought a pretty high number. I might be wrong about that, but I might not be. It's going to be interesting to see where we get to, because I've only begun the tuning process, and I think we're gonna do pretty decent numbers across the board. But you know, once I really fine tune it, I'm kind of curious how much damage I can potentially pump out of this team. I think, you know, some of the other content creators I've talked to so far have gotten some pretty decent results already. So there's a lot of potential for us to do pretty well going forward on this team. I'm just really interested about it, and really, really excited about it. And I'm mostly excited to have you guys come back and watch this live on Friday. That's going to be a very fun time. If you enjoy any of these kind of collab videos, you're going to enjoy that. I know during the draft, we actually had a lot of content creators stop by. I didn't catch them all because I was focused on everybody else going on, but I know like Odd One Gaming, Layla Fox Nation, Madcapper, all of them were in the house. And I think there were a few others that I happened to miss along the way, but it was a really fun time. And I definitely encourage you guys to stop by on Friday. So that's what we got going on. I just wanted to like throw that out there for you guys. And of course, check out the website, because again, I'm actually writing these articles. A lot of times I have other people write articles on the website, you know, to keep you guys engaged and provide some more information for things. But I'm actually writing all these draft articles, and it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and I think fairly insightful. So might be worth your time to check it out. I will try to have a video later on breaking down my own team before we get to the draft. Not having the damage, but I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing, who I'm bringing in, how I'm going about it. I think could be pretty fun. Now, I don't know if I want to spoil it for you guys. I don't know if I should spoil it for you guys. Maybe we should leave the final team for the draft itself. But I'll definitely talk about, you know, where I feel like there are some limitations in my squad, some options that I'm going through. we'll have a little bit of a sit down and talk about it. Maybe I'll leave all the ideas. I won't put them all on the table there for you guys, but you can at least see the thought process that I go through when I am trying to build a team that's imperfect. That's what all these teams are. They're all imperfect. With no legendaries, it's going to be impossible for us to really bring in everything we want, except for YSC, because he's a jerk and he drafted really well. But otherwise, it's going to be impossible for us to bring everything we want. We are going to have to pick and choose a little bit, and that's really where the art of this comes in, right? There's the science, and then there's the art. Both are involved with Clan Boss, and the art's the part that I really enjoy. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you sticking around and watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we go live, so you don't miss the next collab that comes out, because we got one of those every single day leading up to the draft. I'm really excited about this, in case you can't tell. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for sticking around. Until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.